You probably remember seeing a planning guide for empowering learners with the School Library Program Assessment rubric in previous classes. Here we want to explore what the planning guide says about intellectual freedom and intellectual property and ethical use of information, all topics that concern us in reference and information service. I've moved forward in the planning guide to page 59, where we're discussing policies. The School Library Program includes policies, procedures, and guidelines that support equitable access to ideas and information throughout the school community. The item that I'd like for us to focus on here is ethical use of information. Are we informal, where the issues that are related to ethical use of information and acceptable use are discussed but not formalized in policy statements? Are we collaborative, where some members of the school community are consulted to develop policies that guide ethical use of information? Or are we inclusive? Do we work with all members of our school community to develop clearly stated policies that guide ethical use of information, including an acceptable use policy that's approved by the district and the school? Administrators and technology department staff play a critical role in developing policy for ethical use of information. The two areas that I'd like for us to look at here on these pages are resource access and intellectual freedom. In thinking of providing resources in your school and providing access to those resources, would your policies be limiting? Would they be basic? Or would they be comprehensive, where you have established and published clear policies and procedures for circulation of resources, for the use of library spaces, so that your students have maximum equitable access to ideas and information, including flexible access beyond the school day and beyond, with remote access to electronic resources also provided. Finally, we need to look at intellectual freedom under collection and information access. Are you informally committed to the concept of intellectual freedom? Do you support intellectual freedom at a basic level with a policy in place? Or do you fully support intellectual freedom? Through school board approved district and school level policies, the entire school community supports intellectual freedom for all students. Thinking about these areas from a planning guide for empowering learners helps us to assess where our program is in the area of ethical use of information, resource access, and intellectual freedom.